Hi guys, today's episode is going to be different. We are going to focus on the Black community in America. Our goal is to share Black people's story as we educate ourselves on the depth of racism in America. We are not here to create conflict. We are here to listen and create a safe space for Black people to share with you, our listeners, their experiences. If you are not interested in this topic, it's okay to skip it. We will not judge you. We feel responsible to use our platform to discuss current events and bring to light different voices. Let's start with some statistics from the New York Times. Jacqui, go ahead.
Thank you, Jasmin. So I'm reading out of an article from the New York Times posted on June 6th. So it says, for most white Americans, interactions with the police happen rarely, and they're often respectful or even friendly. Many white people don't know a single person who is currently behind bars. In many Black communities, and especially for Black men, the situation is entirely different. Some of the statistics can be hard to fathom. Close to 10% of Black men in their 30s are behind bars on any given day. That's 10% of Black men in their 30s are behind bars on any given day. Incarceration rates for Black men are about twice as high as those of Hispanic men, 5 times higher than those of white men, at least 25 times higher than those of Black women, Hispanic women, or white women. Again, 5 times higher than those of white men and 25 times higher of women. When the government last conducted how many Black men had ever spent time in state or federal prison, 2001, the share was 17%. Today, it's likely closer to 20%. So this is the percentage of how many Black men have ever spent time in state or federal prison. And this number does not include people who've spent time in jail without being sentenced to prison. The comparable number for white men is about 3%. 17% versus 3%. The rise of mass incarceration over the last half century has turned imprisonment into a dominant feature of modern life for Black Americans. Large numbers of Black men are missing from their communities, unable to marry, care for children, or see their aging parents. Many others suffer from permanent economic or psychological damage, struggling to find work after they leave prison. A recent study by the economist Patrick Beyer and Carwine Coffey Charles found that 27% of Black men in the prime working years of their lives, between the ages of 25 and 54, didn't report earnings of a single dollar of income in 2014. That's a massive number, Charles, the dean of the Yale School of Management, told me. Incarceration, including the after effects, was the major reason. The anger coursing through America's streets over the past week has many causes, starting with gruesome video showing the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. But the anger has also been building up for a long time. It is in part anger about incarcerating having become normal.
Thank you, Jacqui. Now we are going to share a story from one of our listeners.
I just want to post this and shed light on my story because oftentimes I don't want to talk about it. I went to a high school that was predominantly white, and I had always experienced racism, but things got much worse my senior year, which also happened to be the election year of Trump. Everyone I knew was an outspoken person, and that put an even bigger target on my back. I got called the N-word every day, had things written on my car, had pencils thrown in my hair, had people waving Confederate flags in my face, and teachers' administration condoning this all. Eventually, after enough noise, the Confederate flag got banned from our campus besides for the use of education. News stations began to call my family because I had been so outspoken about the situation. After telling my story to the news, I received a significant amount of backlash from people at my high school. People who claimed that I had made it all up for attention, or was overreacting, or was lying because I wasn't even really black. This happened halfway through my senior year. After a guidance counselor told me that they could not ensure my safety upon returning to school, I made the decision with a heavy heart as a 17-year-old to withdraw from my high school and finish online all by myself. This meant losing out on my senior prom, graduation, and senior dance show for a team that I had been on for 4 years and was the captain of. My entire life changed. I was traumatized. Everyone in my life disappeared in fear of being bullied, and nobody spoke up for me. I was alone completely. It took me months to even be able to interact with society again. I went through extensive counseling and was hospitalized several times because the mental stress I was experiencing began to impact my physical health in a very negative way. As a 17-year-old, I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't know that things would get so much better for me on the other side, and for that I am so glad I stayed. I know this is a very long post, and if you have made it this far, I truly thank you because you have just read my deepest thoughts. I share this to show you what it's like to be a black person in America.
Here is a list of people who were killed by the police. We say their names in remembrance.
Philandro Castillo, killed during a traffic stop for a busted headlight. Stephen Clark, killed in his backyard because they feared he had a gun. It was a cell phone. Gregory Gunn, killed because he looked suspicious. Dontre Hamilton, killed because he was sleeping in a park. He was also mentally ill. Ryan Tayman, killed by 37 bullets. Jamarion Robinson, killed by 76 bullets for refusing to open the door. Christopher Whitefield, killed for stealing raw chicken, also mentally ill. David McCarty, killed while attending a protest against police violence inspired by the in-custody killing of George Floyd. He was known to serve cops free meals.
Thank you for sharing your stories with us today. You are all brave, and we need to hear these stories to spread awareness. If you would like to share your story, please contact us on social media or at chutzpahtime@gmail.com. You matter, and your stories are important. Thank you for listening.